Stop consuming these vegetables. I apologize for being blunt, but otherwise, you won't understand. I am a doctor with extensive experience. Over decades of work, I have seen too many people ruin their health by eating ordinary salad. Yes, this sounds paradoxical. We are used to considering vegetables the foundation of a healthy diet. However, the truth is that not all of them are equally beneficial, especially for people over 60. Some of the vegetables you have been eating for many years subtly harm your heart, joints, vessels, and even brain. And the saddest thing is that many elderly people continue to eat them because that's what was said on television or what their parents did. I urge you to watch this video until the end, as today I will discuss 4 vegetables you shouldn't touch if you're over 60, and 4 others that can extend your life, improve memory, and rejuvenate your skin. And the most important thing I will say in the end, this is what I usually share only with my closest patients. And, to be honest, some of them cry when they realize how simple changes can be in their lives. Right now, please like and subscribe, not for the numbers, but to not miss tips that can help maintain your health. I assure you, revelations await you ahead that you have certainly not heard before. People often tell me, "Doctor, you are exaggerating. Can vegetables be dangerous?" I respond, yes, they can, especially if the body isn't 20 years old. After 60, metabolism slows down, the intestines function differently, the liver and kidneys become more sensitive, and the vessels become more fragile. What was easily digested at 30 can cause inflammation, pressure spikes, and even headaches in old age. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, a woman approached me. She was 68 years old. She was neat and cheerful, always mindful of her diet. Every day began with a salad and fresh vegetables, as recommended by all the magazines. But soon she was tormented by joint pain, bloating, and insomnia. The test showed inflammatory processes, but without a clear reason. Only after figuring out what she had eaten did we understand the issue. One of her favorite vegetables turned out to be real poison for her body at that age. As soon as she excluded him, the pain left in 2 weeks, and a month later she said, "Doctor, I feel light for the first time in a long time." That is why I am recording this video, so that you do not repeat her mistakes, so that you understand that healthy eating at 30 and at 60 are completely different things. The body changes, and our food must change with it. Now let's calmly and honestly figure out which 4 vegetables actually drain energy, cause inflammation, and age the body, and which 4 others truly support the heart, brain, and longevity. But please listen to the end. For the most important thing is not just to exclude harmful vegetables, but to understand why they are specifically dangerous for you. This knowledge can change your life, your diet, and your morning habits. Many of my patients often ask after such a conversation, "Doctor, why hasn't anyone told us this before?" I reply, because no one communicates honestly with people after 60. Everyone keeps repeating the same recommendations from brochures, not understanding that an adult has a completely different body, metabolism, and needs. Therefore, if you are over 60, this video is meant for you. If your parents are over 60, be sure to show it to them. I strongly urge you not to neglect this simple knowledge. It could give you a few extra years of life. And while you listen, ask yourself one question. Are you sure that the products in your refrigerator really benefit you? Perhaps it is they who disturb your sleep, create heaviness, and affect your mood? I assure you, today you will look at vegetables completely differently, and when I finish, you will understand that a simple change in your diet can restore your energy, clarity of mind, and even improve your memory. I will share what many dietitians prefer not to talk about because it breaks the usual notions of healthy eating. But I will say this because I care. I have watched how misleading advice deprives health from those who believe in advertising. I know how to act differently. Simply, without strict diets and stress, with care for oneself. In my experience, after 60, what you eat is not only important, but also how your body perceives it. Sometimes, it is enough to remove just a couple of foods for your body to start healing itself, so don't switch off. Soon, I will explain why 4 popular vegetables should be said no to, and which 4 should be befriended if you want to live longer and easier. For now, stay with us, so you don't miss the continuation. I assure you, the second part will contain information that could literally extend your life. I understand that many are surprised right now, and some may even be outraged. How can a tomato be harmful? Doctor, you must be joking. This is a source of vitamins. This is exactly what is concerning. We are used to considering it a symbol of health, but for the body after 60, it can be one of the most treacherous vegetables, especially if eaten often and raw. Let's analyze it calmly, without panic. But honestly, tomatoes contain acid that can irritate the mucous membrane of the stomach and intestines. A young person can handle this easily, but after 60, the mucous membrane becomes thinner. Metabolism slows down, and the liver and pancreas work at their limit. What happens? This acid literally begins to scratch the stomach from the inside. First, there is heartburn, then heaviness, and later, chronic inflammation. And the most terrifying thing is that a person does not even suspect that the cause of their problems is not age or medication, but the daily consumption of fresh tomatoes. I remember one patient, Galina Sergeyevna. She is 72 years old, active, well-groomed, and always smiling. She visited me every 3 months with complaints of abdominal pain, bloating, and constant drowsiness. We treated her stomach, adjusted her diet, but without much success. And only when I asked what she eats daily, she replied, "What's there? Bread with tomatoes? I can't do without them." We removed them for just 2 weeks, and here's the result. The bloating went away, the stool normalized, the heaviness disappeared. A month later, she said, "Doctor, for the first time in 10 years, I sleep peacefully." That is why I assert that tomatoes can be dangerous after 60, especially if you have issues with your stomach, joints, blood vessels, or if you are taking heart medications. It's not just about acidity. The skin and seeds of tomatoes contain special substances, lectins. These proteins can cause microinflammations in the intestines and enhance autoimmune reactions. A young organism can cope with them, but an adult cannot. Therefore, many notice that after a plate of salad with tomatoes, they experience heaviness, drowsiness, finger swelling, or joint pain. And now, an important note. If you are taking blood pressure medications, heart medications, or aspirin, tomatoes can enhance the side effects of these drugs. They contain a lot of potassium, and in combination with certain medications, this can overload the kidneys. Therefore, if you are over 60, it is especially important not to consume tomatoes every day. Once a week is fine, but not daily, and only cooked, stewed, baked, or in sauce without seeds. I understand you might think, but Italians live long and eat tomatoes. Yes, they eat them, but not raw in kilograms. They use them in sauces, where the acidity is neutralized by cooking, and the seeds are removed. And the main thing is, they compensate for this with olive oil, which softens the effect of acids. And what do we have? We chop tomatoes directly into the salad, add onions and vinegar, and think we are doing everything right. I do not claim that this vegetable is evil. I only say that for a mature organism, it can become a real test. Meanwhile, it can be replaced with other products that are gentler on the stomach, beneficial for the vessels, and rich in antioxidants that do not cause irritation. I will talk about this a little later. Allow me to give another example. I had a patient, Alexander Nikolaevich, who was 66 years old. He complained of joint pain, especially in the mornings, and no ointments helped. When I asked about his diet, he proudly said, "I eat properly, fresh vegetables every day, especially tomatoes." We excluded them for 3 weeks. And here's what he told me later. "Doctor, it feels like sand has poured out of my joints. It's not a miracle, just the inflammation that these vegetables supported for years has decreased. That's why I strongly urge you. Don't treat food as a habit, see it as medicine. In mature age, every product either heals or harms. The middle ground no longer exists. Try living without tomatoes for at least a week. Remove them from salads. Don't add them to sandwiches, and just listen to your body. In a few days, you will feel it easier to get up, the heaviness after dinner will fade, and your sleep quality will improve. If you are troubled by joint pain, it may become less pronounced. I say this not as a theorist, but as a doctor who has observed this many times. And please do not try to replace fresh tomatoes with canned ones. It's even worse. In marinades and ketchup, the acidity is enhanced with vinegar and sugar, which negatively affects the blood vessels and pancreas. I understand that many find it hard to give up their usual taste, but don't worry. I will soon tell you how to replace tomatoes so that the taste remains pleasant and health is not compromised. In the second part, I will reveal another treacherous vegetable that can cause blood pressure spikes and accelerate vascular aging. Even if you think it's good for weight loss, a surprise awaits you. For now, just stay with us so you don't miss the continuation. I ask you, do not postpone this. Perhaps tomorrow you will realize how a simple change in your diet can restore your lightness and energy. To be honest, the eggplant is a deceiver. It looks appealing and seems like a light dietary product. But for people over 60, this is a real test, especially for joints and blood vessels. Many are convinced that eggplants are purely fiber and good for the heart. In reality, everything is quite different. I will not tire of repeating, not everything that is beneficial at 30 is suitable at 60. Eggplant contains a substance called solanine. This is a natural toxin that plants produce to protect themselves from pests. In small doses, a young body can neutralize it, but after 60, the enzymatic systems work slower, and solanine can accumulate, causing fatigue, joint pain, irritability, insomnia, and for some, even numbness in the fingers and mild headaches. When I share this information with patients, they are surprised. Doctor, but I eat them rarely, just fry them once a week. Then it turns out they fry them in sunflower oil until they turn black and soak up fat like a sponge. Ultimately, this leads to liver problems, cholesterol spikes, and vascular inflammation. It all started with a desire to indulge in something light. Let me give an example. I had a patient, a man named Ivan Mikhailovich, 70 years old, a former builder. He complained of knee pain, gout, and constant weakness. "Doctor, I eat nothing harmful," he assured. And indeed, at first glance, his diet looked proper. Oatmeal, vegetables, a bit of fish. But when I asked what vegetables he eats, he replied, "Yes, I love eggplants, I bake them, make caviar from them, I adore them." I suggested he exclude them for a month. 3 weeks later, he returned and said, "You are a magician. My knees stopped hurting at night." It's not a miracle, just the hidden inflammation has subsided, supported by that very solanine. It's important to understand that eggplants are not dangerous in themselves. Danger arises in combination with age, a slowed metabolism, chronic diseases, and medications. If you take blood pressure pills, diuretics, or joint medications, eggplants can disrupt fluid excretion, increase swelling, and reduce the effectiveness of drugs. If you have thyroid problems, this vegetable can further burden the body. Moreover, it should be noted that eggplants often contain nitrates, especially if they were grown in unnatural conditions in greenhouses during winter using stimulants. These substances in the body are converted into nitrites, which can disrupt normal blood circulation and cause dizziness, weakness, and sometimes even heart rhythm failures. Therefore, if you are over 60, it is better to completely exclude eggplants, especially fried ones. Many will say, "But I make caviar from them. It's healthy." In reality, it's not. When frying, the oils in eggplant caviar oxidize, becoming a source of free radicals. They strike the vessels and accelerate skin aging. This is one of the reasons why some people who seem to eat properly have dry and dull skin, and their faces lose freshness. Remember, the eggplant is a vegetable with character. It helps the young but harms the mature. If after eating you feel heaviness, fog in your head, or aches in your body, it might be it. Try to exclude it for at least 2 weeks. Your body will thank you. From my experience, after 60, it's important to choose foods that give energy rather than take it away. We often overlook how small details, like vegetables for a side dish, affect our well-being. I'm not saying we should give up everything, but it's important to be aware of which foods require effort from the body and which help it rest and recover. Many of my patients noted improvements not only in their physical condition but also in their emotional state after excluding eggplants from their diet. Their apathy faded, and they felt a desire to engage in activities, walk, and socialize. This happens because the body stops fighting internal inflammation and energy is released for a full life. If you find it hard to give up, you can replace eggplants with zucchini. They are soft, contain no solanine, support bowel function, and are easily digestible. Zucchini is a case where a simple solution brings real benefits. Try conducting an experiment. For 2 weeks, exclude eggplants, fried dishes, and any canned vegetables. After just a week, you'll notice deeper sleep, less painful joints, and a more stable mood. Don't believe it? Check for yourself. I've seen this too many times to doubt, and remember, if your body starts failing after 60, it's not always due to old age. Sometimes it's just a signal. Stop feeding me what I can no longer digest. Now pay attention. In the second recommendation, I will talk about the third vegetable that seems completely harmless but actually accelerates brain aging and causes forgetfulness. Almost everyone consumes this vegetable, and it may be the reason for morning fog in the head and fatigue. Don't switch. The next information is very important. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe right now so you don't miss the next part. I assure you, I will tell you about something that can restore clarity of mind and vigor that you haven't felt in a long time. You will be surprised. And the third treacherous enemy after 60 is the ordinary corn. Yes, the same golden sweet corn that everyone considers safe and light. I understand how this sounds, as it is associated with summer, freshness, dashas, and boiled cobs. But the truth is that for the brain and blood vessels of an elderly person, corn is one of the most dangerous vegetables. When I first noticed this pattern among my patients, to be honest, I couldn't believe it. Corn, being a source of fiber and vitamins, seems like the perfect product. However, delving deeper into the issue, I realized that modern corn varieties contain too much starch and sugar, which indeed become a real problem after 60 years. I'll explain in simple terms. With age, metabolism slows down, insulin levels often rise, and brain cells become more sensitive to fluctuations in sugar. Starch from corn quickly converts to glucose, leading to a spike in blood sugar followed by a sharp drop. Result? Fatigue, drowsiness, irritability, and, most unpleasantly, mental fog. A person starts forgetting words, loses concentration, and feels as if in a haze. And all this is not due to age, but because of a usual serving of corn porridge. I remember one of my patients, Anatoly Petrovich, who is over 70 years old. He was a former physics teacher and a very intelligent man. He came to me not with complaints about his stomach or blood pressure, but with something else. Doctor, I have started to forget everything. I can't remember names. I lose the thread of conversation. I thought it was old age. We conducted an examination. The vessels were fine. The tests were not bad. I asked, "What do you eat for breakfast?" He smiled and replied, "Oh, just cornmeal porridge. I've eaten it my whole life." We replaced it with oatmeal, added protein and healthy fats. A month later, he said, "Doctor, it's like my head has cleared up. Do you understand what happened? It's not magic. My brain just stopped suffering from constant sugar spikes." Each serving of corn is almost the same as a spoonful of sugar, just disguised as a healthy product. And if you prefer canned corn, it has added sugar, salt, and preservatives, which is a blow to the vessels and memory. There is another important aspect. Corn contains phytic acid, which interferes with the absorption of magnesium, zinc, and iron. These trace elements are essential for the brain's normal functioning, memory, and sleep. If you regularly consume corn, even in small amounts, a deficiency of these substances gradually develops, leading to fatigue, anxiety, insomnia, and dizziness. And again, a person thinks it is age, while in reality, it is chronic exhaustion due to poor food choices. Corn in the form of cornflakes, instant porridge, and popcorn is especially dangerous. This is no longer food, but pure sugar. I often ask my patients the question, "Why do you eat popcorn?" And I hear in response, "Well, it's corn. It's not harmful." But it actually causes microinflammation of the brain vessels and provokes forgetfulness. I always say, the brain after 60 is like a crystal vessel. Any spike in sugar, any inflammation can lead to cracks. At first, it's minor issues like forgetting where you put your glasses, then more serious ones like forgetting to turn off the stove, and finally, anxiety, fear, and sleepless nights. It all starts with nutrition. One day, a 69-year-old woman came to me with a complaint. "Doctor, I started waking up at night as if my heart is beating in my head." We checked all the indicators: blood pressure, heart function, hormonal background. Soon it became clear that for dinner she was eating a whole plate of boiled corn. "It's useful," she noted. We excluded it for just a week. The heartbeat stopped. As it turned out, corn provoked sugar spikes and triggered an adrenaline reaction. Therefore, if you are over 60, remember a simple rule. Corn is a rare guest at the table, not a daily dish. Once every 2 weeks will be enough, and only in its natural form, without salt, sugar, or butter. Many will say, but it's delicious with butter. It's simply a celebration. Yes, but this holiday is too costly for our brains. Instead, we can choose foods that provide energy without harm, like broccoli or cauliflower. I will talk about them later when we move on to the useful quartet. Please do not take my words as a prohibition. This is not a prohibition, but a concern. I see how people lose clarity of thought and consider it inevitable. But in my experience, changing one's diet can awaken the brain. I observed how people aged 70 and 75 began to read books again, remember poems, and take an interest in the news, simply because they stopped feeding themselves with false fuel. Try to exclude corn for at least a week. Remove it in any form, boiled, flakes, porridge. In a few days, you will feel how thinking becomes easier, waking up becomes more pleasant, and your eyes clearer. And now, pay attention. In the next part, I will tell you about the fourth treacherous vegetable that pretends to be good for your figure, but actually destroys your vessels and skin from the inside. This vegetable is especially popular among those who watch their weight, but it makes the skin flabby and the body sluggish. Don't go away. The most unexpected truth awaits you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because the most important part is about to begin. How to distinguish harmful vegetables from those that actually prolong life. Yes, you heard it right. The ordinary cucumber, the most familiar and seemingly harmless vegetable, symbolizing lightness and diet. We add it to salads, thinking it cleanses the body, as it is just water and nothing extra. But here lies the deception. After 60, cucumbers can become a real enemy to blood vessels and skin, especially if consumed frequently and at the wrong time. Let me explain more simply. In mature age, the body finds it harder to regulate water-salt balance. It is harder for the kidneys to cope with excess fluid, especially if a person is taking medication for blood pressure, edema, or cardiovascular diseases. And what does a cucumber do? It adds water to the body but does not eliminate it if the vessels and kidneys are weakened. As a result, there are swellings, bags under the eyes, heaviness in the legs, headaches, and the most unpleasant, hidden swellings in the brain tissue. It is these that cause feelings of lethargy, fog in the head, and slowed reactions. Many patients are surprised. Doctor, but I only eat vegetables. And when we start to investigate, it turns out that almost every day their diet includes fresh cucumbers, especially in the evening, while in the morning they suffer from swelling, drowsiness, and blood pressure fluctuations. I remember one patient, Tamara Vasilyevna. She is 67 years old. She is short and fragile, active, and always prefers order. She came to the appointment with complaints. In the morning, I can't open my eyes. I swell up, my head feels heavy, but I try to eat only light food, vegetables, kefir, nothing extra. I became interested. What vegetables do you prefer? She replied that she loves cucumbers, considering them healthy. We decided to exclude them from our diet for a whole week, and it yielded results. The swelling disappeared, blood pressure normalized, and the heaviness in the head went away. She uttered a phrase that stayed in my memory. Doctor, I realized that even water can be harmful if it's not in the right amount. Cucumbers deceive us with their lightness. Yes, they are composed of 95% water, but it is not the kind of water that nourishes the cells. This is just a transit fluid, and with kidney and vascular problems, it accumulates in the tissues. Moreover, modern cucumbers often contain nitrates. In mature age, the body absorbs these substances more slowly, and even small doses can cause weakness, sleep disturbances, and headaches. There's one more important point. Cucumbers wash out minerals, especially potassium and magnesium, which are essential for the heart. Thus, if a person takes blood pressure medications or diuretics while also consuming a lot of cucumbers, the risk of heart arrhythmias doubles. I observed many cases where people developed arrhythmias simply due to excessive consumption of fresh vegetables. Now about the skin. After 60, every cell loses moisture, and many believe that increasing cucumber consumption will improve its condition. But in reality, everything happens the other way around. By disrupting the salt balance, cucumbers draw trace elements from the skin, making it flabby. It's like watering a plant. It seems hydrated, but without nutrients, it starts to wilt. Therefore, one should not be deceived by the external simplicity of vegetables. They can be different. Some heal, while others drain strength. After 60, it's not the quantity, but the quality of food that matters. Each dish should support the body, not harm it. If you want to maintain lightness and clarity, eat cucumbers sparingly and only in the morning. Under no circumstances should you consume them in the evening, especially before bedtime. If you already have a tendency towards edema, heart failure, or hypertension, it is better to completely avoid them. In my experience, after eliminating cucumbers from the evening diet, morning puffiness disappears in 3 to 4 days, energy returns, and the skin becomes fresh. It's not magic, just the body stops fighting excess water. I'm not doing this to scare you. I want you to start listening to your body. It always knows what it needs. After 60, it's important not to follow strict diets, but to be mindful of your nutrition. Pay attention if any product causes you heaviness, drowsiness, or swelling. It means you no longer need it. And I want to emphasize this. All 4 of these vegetables, tomatoes, eggplants, corn, and cucumbers, are not enemies. They just don't suit your age. Your body has become wiser and more sensitive. It requires different support and energy. This is what I will discuss in the following parts. There are vegetables that can work real wonders. They restore blood vessels, nourish the brain, improve skin condition, and return energy. I call these 4 vegetables the second breath of maturity. They help the body feel light again, but we'll talk about that later. For now, I want you to remember, not always does a fresh and green appearance indicate health. Sometimes behind this attractiveness lies the reason for your fatigue. In the next section, I will talk about the first of these 4 useful vegetables that should definitely be included in your diet. This vegetable cleanses the vessels, supports the brain, and makes the skin glow. It can truly rejuvenate the body from within. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend doing so, as the most interesting part is ahead. Vegetables that can prolong life. If you want your body to function like a Swiss watch after 60, start with beets. Yes, that very ordinary red one that can be found in any market. It is often underestimated, which is a shame. This vegetable cleanses, nourishes, and restores. If I were asked the question, Doctor, which product would you choose for an elderly person to feel more energetic? I would undoubtedly answer, beetroot. Why beetroot? It's quite simple. After 60, the body begins to lose its internal lubrication. The vessels become less elastic, the blood thickens, and the metabolism slows down. Everything seems to freeze, like an engine running on old oil. Beetroot is a natural cleanser, regulator, and restorative in one. It thins the blood, improves vessel function, lowers blood pressure, and saturates the brain with oxygen. Beets contain nitrates, but not the dangerous kind, only natural and safe ones. Entering the body, they transform into nitric oxide, a molecule that relaxes and dilates blood vessels, improving blood flow. This is why people who consume beets at least 3 times a week report less dizziness. The ringing in their ears disappears, and they feel energized in the mornings. I remember my patient, Valery Ivanovich, who was 71 years old at the time. He came to me complaining of fatigue and dizziness. His blood pressure was fluctuating, and his memory was deteriorating. Doctor, it's probably related to age, he said. I smiled. Age has nothing to do with it. Your blood is as thick as syrup. It needs to be thinned out. I recommended he eat a small piece of boiled beet every morning, just a couple of spoonfuls. A month later, he came to me with a shining face and said, Doctor, I feel alive again. My head is clear in the morning. I sleep peacefully. All this is thanks to the beet. But the magic of this vegetable is not limited to just vessels. Beets contain betaine, a substance that helps the liver cleanse the body of toxins and support digestion. After 60 years, the liver begins to work more slowly, accumulating metabolic products, medicines, and fats. Beetroot seems to wash it out, like a stream cleans stones. This improves skin color, dullness disappears, and a light blush appears on faces. By the way, many women over 60 complain about a grayish skin tone and brittle hair. Often the reason lies not in cosmetics, but in an overloaded liver. Add beets to your diet, and in a few weeks your face will become fresher and your gaze clearer. I have observed this many times. It is important to remember that beets should not be consumed randomly. Their power lies in regularity and moderation. It is enough to eat 2 to 3 spoons a day. Beets can be eaten boiled, baked, or in a smoothie with apple. The main thing is not to fry them or add vinegar. There is one simple advice that acts as an easy exercise for the vessels. Every morning on an empty stomach, drink half a glass of baked beet juice diluted with water in a 1-to-1 ratio. Repeat this for a week. In just a few days, you will feel your body awakening, blood circulating more actively, and your mood stabilizing. In my experience, beetroot is a quiet remedy. She does not shout about herself, does not give instant results, but works deeply and gently, like a true friend who is always there at the right moment. Many fear that beets raise blood sugar levels. This is a myth. In moderate amounts, it helps regulate glucose levels as it contains fiber that slows sugar absorption, so even diabetics can consume it, but without added sugar, oil, and vinegar. I often tell my patients, if you knew how grateful your brain is after a bowl of warm borscht. Each spoonful is a drop of freely breathing blood. Now I will say it plainly, beetroot is not just a vegetable. It is a soft remedy for the fatigue of life. It brings lightness to the body, clarity to the mind, and peace to the soul, especially if you are over 60. Try it. Prepare beetroot, chop it finely, add a little olive oil and lemon juice without salt. Consume this for 3 consecutive days. You will feel how your body thanks you. And please, do not believe those who claim that after a certain age, nothing can change. Everything can be changed. Sometimes it is enough to just choose a different vegetable. I strongly urge you not to postpone. Start with beets. This is the first step towards cleansing, renewal, and a life without heaviness. In the next recommendation, I will talk about vegetables that nourish not only the body, but also the soul, those that slow brain aging and improve memory. These products make a person calm, collected, and confident, even at 70 years old. Don't forget that if there were a vegetable that literally extends brain youth, I would undoubtedly call it broccoli. Many elderly people regard it with skepticism, thinking, what's so special about it? It has no taste, just grass. But it's not just grass. This can be called the golden key to brain aging. Broccoli is a natural antioxidant concentrate. It contains a substance called sulforaphane, a powerful protector of brain cells and blood vessels. He works as a janitor, cleaning old cages, reducing inflammation, and helping neurons recover. After 60, inflammation becomes the main enemy of memory and clarity. It does not manifest as pain, but destroys nerve connections, causing a person to begin forgetting, becoming distracted, and tired. Broccoli seems to extinguish this inner fire. I often compare it to a refreshing rain after the heat. It gently cools the body and allows the brain to rest a bit. I had a patient, Nikolai Semyonovich, a 73-year-old former engineer, an intelligent and meticulous man, who came to me with anxiety. He began to forget where he left his keys, and recently could not remember his friend's grandson's surname. This caused him shame. He had already been taking vitamins and supplements as prescribed, but his diet remained the same. Bread, potatoes, meat, and a few cucumbers. I suggested he add broccoli to his menu 3 times a week, 100 grams, lightly steamed. A month later, he said, "You know, as if the fog has lifted. My eyes are clearer, my thoughts faster. It's not a miracle, it's physiology." Broccoli improves brain nutrition and activates the production of glutathione, the main antioxidant in the body. It helps cleanse the brain of toxins, improves concentration, and eliminates anxiety. In my experience, those who start regularly consuming broccoli notice that their sleep becomes deeper, their mood more stable, and their memory more reliable after a few weeks. Interestingly, the reaction improves. People stop getting stuck in conversations and find the right words faster. Broccoli also supports thyroid function, which in turn helps regulate overall tone and mood. This is especially important after 60, as even mild hormonal imbalances can make a person tired and indifferent. Additionally, it is worth noting that broccoli has almost no calories, but is high in fiber. She cleanses the intestines, where substances that promote feelings of happiness and calmness, serotonin and dopamine, are produced. It's no coincidence that they say, a healthy gut means a calm mind. Let me tell a short story. I have a patient, Lyudmila Pavlovna, 68 years old, a smart and caring woman, but she constantly felt anxious, couldn't sleep, and complained, "Doctor, thoughts won't let me rest." I didn't prescribe her pills. I simply advised, eat broccoli 3 times a week with olive oil and lemon juice. 3 weeks later, she called, "Doctor, I slept peacefully for the first time in a long time." That's how food works when used correctly. No pills, no strict diets, just a green sprig prepared with love. To maximize the benefits of broccoli, it's important not to overcook it. Boil or steam for no more than 4 to 5 minutes to preserve all enzymes. Add a little oil. Fat helps absorb vitamins A and K, which protect brain vessels. I want to especially emphasize that if you are over 60 and notice that your memory has worsened, you feel anxious more often, or you have mood swings, do not rush to attribute this to age. Perhaps your brain simply lacks green nourishment. Try to include broccoli in your diet for at least 10 days. I assure you, the result will surprise you. I strongly urge you not to ignore this simple step. Broccoli is not a trendy obsession. It's a way of life without a foggy mind. In my observations, people who consume green vegetables look younger not only externally but also energetically. They have a different gaze, clear, confident, and vibrant. This is not a coincidence. It is the result of proper brain nutrition. Try one small ritual. Add at least 1 spoonful of steamed broccoli to your menu daily. Make it a habit. In a month, you'll realize that fatigue is not normal and age is not a sentence. However, it is important to remember, not all greens are beneficial. In the next part, I will talk about the third useful vegetable that cares for heart and joint health. But one must be careful. If the wrong variety is chosen or prepared incorrectly, one can get the completely opposite effect. This vegetable is often confused with ordinary greens, but it can slow down the aging of blood vessels and restore mobility to the body. Stay tuned for the most valuable advice ahead. There is a vegetable that I call the silent doctor for the heart. It does not evoke delight, lacks a strong aroma, and is not very noticeable, but it can significantly improve the condition of blood vessels and joints. This is spinach. Yes, the very green leaf that many consider tasteless and not for everyone. But it is here that the power lies, known to few. After 60 years, the body especially needs magnesium, potassium, folic acid, and antioxidants, and spinach provides them abundantly. These substances nourish the heart, relax blood vessels, improve the nervous system, and prevent joint inflammation. If beetroot is a cleanser and broccoli is the brain's protector, then spinach acts as the tamer of the heart and joints, a natural regulator of the internal rhythm. When I started telling my patients about spinach, many of them grimaced. "Doctor, am I a rabbit to chew on grass?" But after a month, almost everyone said the same thing. I feel calmer, my headaches are gone, my knees no longer creak. Let me share a story. I had a patient, Grigory Pavlovich, who was 69 years old and worked as a driver. He came with complaints of high blood pressure and knee pain. His blood pressure constantly fluctuated, his joints ached, and his mood was poor. I didn't overload him with medication, but asked what he eats. His diet consisted of ordinary foods, potatoes, meat, bread, and sometimes salad. I suggested a simple rule: to eat a handful of spinach every day, fresh or lightly steamed. "Doctor, will this really help?" He remarked skeptically, but agreed to try. 3 weeks later, he came in smiling. "Can you imagine? My knees don't hurt, my blood pressure is normal, and I've started sleeping deeper." Why did this happen? It's simple. Spinach is rich in naturally occurring nitrates, which convert to nitric oxide. This substance dilates blood vessels, lowers pressure, and improves blood flow. Additionally, spinach contains a lot of magnesium, a mineral of calmness. It relaxes muscles, alleviates anxiety, and helps the heart function smoothly. After 60, magnesium is washed out of the body especially quickly due to medications, coffee, and stress. A person begins to feel their heart flutter, anxiety increases, muscles cramp, but adding spinach makes the body breathe steadily again. In my experience, this vegetable can restore softness and flexibility to the body if consumed regularly. A small bunch of spinach 3 to 4 times a week is enough to achieve the effect, rather than eating it in kilograms. Include it in your diet raw in salads with olive oil or lightly steamed, but not fried or salted. It's important to remember one rule: don't boil spinach too long, otherwise it will lose its vitamins. It's enough to just pour boiling water over it or add it to a warm dish. Another remarkable property of spinach is its ability to protect joints. It is rich in vitamin K, which aids in calcium absorption in bones, preventing its deposition in blood vessels. This means that spinach strengthens bones while reducing the risk of plaque formation. I often say that spinach is a green bridge between our body and inner peace. It acts gently and unobtrusively. One should not expect instant results like from medications. After a week, you will start to feel lightness in your body and deeper breathing. If you suffer from nighttime cramps, arrhythmia, headaches, or anxiety, try adding spinach to your diet. Even a few leaves in a smoothie or omelet can work wonders. And yes, men, especially pay attention. Spinach improves circulation and thus supports male strength. For women, this product helps cope with stress more easily and maintain hormonal balance. Spinach is a unique product that not only nourishes but also restores internal balance. It returns to the body the harmony we lose with age. Try conducting an experiment. Add a handful of spinach to your breakfast or lunch every day for a week. Soon you will notice that your sleep has become deeper, your joints less stiff, and your mood more stable. This is a sign that your body is beginning to restore its energy, which was previously spent fighting inflammation. And remember, maturity does not imply suffering. It requires attention. Spinach is one of nature's gifts that gives strength without unnecessary words. In the next part, I will share information about the fourth beneficial vegetable, which is called the elixir of longevity. It positively affects not only the body, but also the soul, improves memory, gut function, strengthens the heart, and even reduces the risk of stroke. I recommend this vegetable to anyone who seeks to live longer without pain and fatigue. Stay with me. Ahead is the finale where I will combine all the recommendations and tell how nutrition after 60 can be a source of longevity, not restrictions. Many underestimate this vegetable. Some even fear it because of its smell. But, friends, if you knew what 1 clove of garlic can do for the body in old age, you would keep it not in the kitchen, but in the medicine cabinet. Garlic is a natural antibiotic, a pressure regulator, and a heart protector that truly prolongs life. It is no coincidence that in villages where garlic is consumed daily, people live longer than in cities where it is replaced by pills. Speaking of garlic, I mean the wisdom of nature. This vegetable acts quietly but deeply. It cleanses the blood, destroys viruses, supports the immune system, and helps vessels remain flexible and clean. After 60, this is exactly what the body needs. Not stimulants or energy-boosting pills, but pure blood and a calm heart. Garlic does an amazing job. It contains allicin, a substance that is released when crushing a clove. This component helps relax blood vessels, lower blood pressure, and improve blood flow to the brain. I observed that people who start regularly consuming garlic, a small piece every day, notice positive changes within a couple of weeks. Tinnitus disappears, blood pressure stabilizes, and breathing becomes easier. However, garlic is not only beneficial for the heart, it also protects the brain from aging. Scientists have long proven that the substances contained in garlic slow down the destruction of neurons, prevent dementia, and improve memory. I see this in practice. People who eat garlic maintain mental clarity and vitality longer. Let me tell you about one case. A patient named Mikhail Ivanovich, 75 years old, came to see me. He was gray-haired, strong, but tired. He had issues with blood pressure, memory, and insomnia, all at once. I didn't overload him with medications and asked, "Do you eat garlic?" He smirked and replied that no, his wife couldn't stand the smell. I suggested a compromise: crush a clove of garlic and mix it with a spoonful of honey for the evening. A month later, he returned and said, "Doctor, I sleep like a baby." The pressure normalized, and in the morning I wake up feeling no heaviness. Here is the scent. You see, friends, sometimes simple things turn out to be more effective than complex schemes. Garlic is not just a trendy fad. It is a way to live without blood stagnation, cholesterol plaques, and chronic fatigue. But it's important to know how to properly use garlic. Don't swallow the cloves whole. It won't be beneficial. Crush or finely chop the garlic. Let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes to activate the allicin, and then add it to dishes. It is best to use it in a warm dish, but not boiling, to avoid destroying the active substances. If your stomach is sensitive, eat garlic with a piece of bread or a drop of oil. In my experience, a simple habit, 1 clove of garlic a day, reduces the risk of heart attacks and strokes, improves memory and mood, and most importantly, restores confidence in one's body. The most surprising thing is that people who start eating garlic regularly become not only healthier, but also gentler. Their irritability fades, sleep improves, and anxieties disappear. This happens due to improved blood circulation in the brain and normalized breathing. Their bodies begin to live in their own rhythm, without spikes and panic. Garlic is a symbol of maturity. He is sharp, yet wise, like a person who has endured much and learned to appreciate simplicity. If you are over 60, add garlic to your life not just as a product, but as a ritual of self-care. A small thing? Yes, but it is these little things that prolong life. Try one of my personal recipes. Crush a clove of garlic, mix it with a spoonful of olive oil and a drop of lemon juice. Spread this mixture on a piece of whole grain bread and eat it in the morning. You will feel warmth, tranquility, and lightness, as if everything inside you comes alive. And don't forget that this is not just food, but a restoration of connection with your body. Garlic cleanses not only the vessels, but also the energy, relieving internal tension. In my experience, if a person consumes a bit of garlic daily and eats beets and broccoli once a week, their body stops aging. Yes, you heard correctly. Aging ceases to be perceived in the usual understanding. The skin becomes softer, the gaze fills with life energy, and thoughts become clear. There is no need to fear this sharp scent of life. Fear should not be felt before garlic, but before the fact that you will stop listening to your body. And now the most important thing I promise to tell, only at the end. In the final part, I will combine all the recommendations, explain how to create a simple menu for longevity, and reveal the secret that helps my patients manage without pills, maintaining clarity of mind and lightness of body, even after 70 years. Please, don't leave. The conclusion is what made it worth listening to everything until the end. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Believe me, what you will hear next could radically change your life. Friends, if you have reached this point, I want to tell you one thing. You have taken a step that already sets you apart from the majority. Most people seek miracles in pills, in advertisements, in promises of quick healing, while you have chosen the path of mindfulness. You decided to figure out what exactly you put on your plate and how it affects your life. This is already a small victory. We have come a long way from 4 vegetables that take away health to 4 that restore it. Let's quickly and thoughtfully recall them. The first things we leave behind: tomatoes, eggplants, corn, and cucumbers. These vegetables may seem healthy, but after 60, they become a real challenge for the body. We will not let them take our energy, disturb our sleep, and damage our vessels. So what do we replace them with? Beets to cleanse the blood and support the liver. Broccoli to protect the brain and restore clarity of thought. Spinach to strengthen the heart and joints. And garlic to nourish the body with vitality and prolong life. Here they are, the 4 pillars of mature health. Simple, accessible, without advertisements, and miraculous jars. But it is in them that the whole secret lies to live longer, calmer, and happier. I don't want you to just remember their names. I want you to feel their meaning. After 60, the body resembles an old good house. It does not fall apart if you take care of it. You just need to update the walls on time, oil the hinges, and strengthen the roof. These vegetables are your workshop of care. I have met people who regain their joy of life not through trendy procedures, but through simple habits. In the morning, a glass of water. At noon, a spoonful of beetroot. In the evening, a bit of spinach. And garlic as a wise end to the day. After a month, their faces shone. They said, "Doctor, I can taste life again." And that is the most valuable thing, because old age is not a disease. This is a time when the body needs attention and the soul needs gratitude. In my experience, when a person stops fighting against the flow of time and begins to live in harmony with themselves, the body starts to find its own strength. There is no need to be strict or count calories. One just needs to listen to themselves. Here is my simple longevity plan. I call it 8 by 8, 8 hours of sleep, 8 minutes of morning movement, and 8 spoons of living food a day: beets, broccoli, spinach, garlic. No more, no less. This is enough for your body to remember how to be alive. Let me share with you what I always tell my patients at the end of an appointment. Take care of yourself. Your time has not passed, it has simply changed. After 60, life does not end. It becomes more meaningful. There is less fuss, but more depth. You have lived long enough to understand the greatness of simple things: clean water, peaceful sleep, kind words, and food prepared with care. Therefore, I urge you not to ignore these pieces of advice. Let at least one of them become a part of your life. Start with beetroot or a clove of garlic. Let this be your yes to life. And please, do not keep this knowledge to yourself. Share it with your loved ones. Tell your parents, friends, and neighbors. Let more people realize that health is not a luxury, but a choice. Write in the comments which of the tips resonates with you, which vegetable you will decide to try first. I would be happy to know that my words found a response in your hearts. And of course, if you liked it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Age is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter in life where you determine how you feel. Remember, even the smallest steps are already the start of the journey. One decision is already a step towards betterment. Even one spoonful of the right food is already self-care. Take care of yourself, live in harmony, and every morning, looking in the mirror, say to yourself, I live, I am grateful, and I deserve health. Thank you for being with me until the end. Ahead of us are new conversations about life, health, and inner peace. Until we meet again, may your life after 60 be clear, kind, and long.